So for our second talk, we have Raúl Prellezo, who's going to talk to us about the Ocean Twilight Zone and Ecosystem Services Evaluation Approach. Over to you, Raúl.
Thank you. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, can you hear me perfectly? No, yeah. Okay, yes, I'm Raúl Prellezo from ASTI. I'm also partner. In fact, I'm coordinating the summer projects, which is around the Mesopelagic zone. And the talk for today is, the title is like that. It's an ecosystem services approach. Trying to at least understand what are the services that we're receiving from this sea layer. So I'm gonna start with a couple or 2 or 3 slides just to introduce the topic. But the idea is that what we're gonna talk about is this Mesopelagic zone, which is the one that is depends obviously in the area that we are looking at it. But it's around between the 200 meters and to 1,000 meters depth. So this is, and in particular, we're going to talk about the fishes that we have there. Not only about not all the species that we can find in the Mesopelagic area, but only about in this case about fishes. So just to introduce, as you know, this zone was more or less discovered a little bit by chance, but by the submarine sonars in the Second World War. And past estimates, they were saying that the biomass, of fishes in this zone was around 2,000 million tons. However, from a paper of Irigoyen and some other people, they say, or they estimated the biomass of fishes in this zone to be around 10,000 million tons, which is, obviously a big change in terms of the abundance of this sea layer. This is obviously a value that still has to be confirmed. It's not as clear, but at least that paper showed that the biomass of that zone was much higher than previous estimates. So and indeed it makes an important statement. Because of this very large biomass, what we can talk is about the largest unexploited ecosystem of the world. And you have the eye, with the sign of the dollar. The idea is to say, okay, if you have a large unexploited ecosystem, we can start exploiting it. Why not? There can be money in there. It's not fully unexploited, I will say, and indeed, what I say here is that it's largest, almost unexploited ecosystem, because in this sea layer, there are an exploitation of some species. For example, this giant squid, which we have landings of around 1 million tons, which is it's quite a big amount of landings, especially in the Pacific Ocean. But indeed, as in terms of fishes, we can say that currently there is not a kind of high exploitation of this or commercial or intensive exploitation of these fishes in this Mesopelagic zone. So with this in mind, the question is, exploit it, but why? We are going to eat it. We are going to eat this Mesopelagic fishes. And the answer is probably no. Simply because they are too small, fatty, and probably not really tasty. So indeed, the direct consumption of these fishes is going to be at least improbable for us. So the other option is, let's use these fishes to produce some source raw material for the aquaculture, like fish meal or fish oil or any other product that we can use it in the aquaculture as a raw material. So this is an option. And at the end, if we look at these options in terms of the sustainable goals of the United Nations, we can say, okay, we can contribute to this objective number 2, which is the zero hunger objective. Another option is, okay, yeah, we're talking always about zero hunger, but yeah, we can also think about as a kind of market niche, in the sense that we are growing the aquaculture not only for feeding the humanity, but also as a way of eating other things that are more, I would say, fancy than these small fishes like the mesopelagic fishes. So yeah, this is the option, the options that we have. But indeed, when now I'm gonna go deeper into the ecosystem services issue. And the first thing that we have to understand is that the fishes at the mesopelagic zone are in the are part of the ecosystem, and so they are part of supporting other species. And among these other species, we have some commercial species, like we say tuna, octopus, or squids, but also some other non-commercial species, or at least not commercial in the majority of the world, like I would say dolphins, whales, or for example seabirds as well. So yeah, they have a role in terms of supporting the ecosystem itself. And yeah, and we know that it's also, they have an important role in the climate change regulation, in the sense that that there is a big migration, daily migration, or vertical migration, and yeah, in terms of the biomass that we are estimating, we can talk about the world's biggest vertical migration. So these are the two elements that we have to consider. When dealing with the ecosystem services that this layer is providing to us. Okay, but I'm gonna focus everything in terms of the economy, which obviously for some people is a kind of a joke. Here you have some statements by some people like Bernard Shaw, Truman, or Galbraith. This last is quite interesting. It says that the economics is extremely useful as a form of employment for economists. Okay, but no, what is economy? Or what is economy? How can we use the economy here? Economy is not about keeping track of the money. Here we have accountants. But the idea of the economy is to provide decision rules on how to choose among different alternatives. And the problem with these alternatives is some of them do not have a kind of stated price. Sometimes they don't have a market. Yeah, the two elements of this definition is about, the first one is how to choose among alternatives. But the question is, what are the alternatives that we have? We have two, in principle. We have the alternative, or the option of fishing them, and the option of not fishing them. If we don't fish them, we simply leave it as they are. That's quite simple. And if we fish them, then we have to decide, how to fish and which harvest rate, and all these things. But in principle, the two main options that we have is not to fish or to fish them. And obviously, we will have different gains or losses if we opt for one or the other. I mean, if we fish them, we can probably support, the zero hunger objective. And given that the quantity of omega-3, for example, that these fishes have in their bodies, I mean, we can also contribute to this good health and well-being of the people. But if we leave them, we are also contributing to something. And is the first point is the life below water. And the second one, and the second objective is obviously to the climate action, in the sense that, I mean, we know that they have a role. They have a role. We have to confirm exactly the quantity of this role, but I mean that they have a role in the climate regulation. So if we reduce the biomass that we have in the sea by fishing, we're gonna lose something in terms of this regulation, regulatory service. So I mean, these are the two options that we have. And the second element of the theory of the definition that we have made to what the economy is doing here is about the stated price. I mean, and the mention, what I want to say is that not all that has an economic value, I mean, in the sense that it's scarce, has a market. And the second point is that not all the markets reflect the real value. I'm going to give you some examples. For example, a sample of things or products or that we can evaluate through markets. For example, the commercial species. I mean, or the protein, the oil that we extract from the fishes. In general, here we have retailer prices, special prices. I mean, in general, everything that is related to provisioning can be measured or evaluated using markets. And the good thing of using prices. And the good thing of having prices and a market is that, in principle, prices always include a summary of all the information required to produce an efficient management decision. So, I mean, when we have markets, we have a powerful tool. But the problem is that we always have no markets, to evaluate. And this is, for example, the case of the cultural values. When we don't have markets, what we do is to create a market. I mean, by doing some kind of analysis, some questions to the people, and we have different methods. The problem is that these methods are quite complex, in the sense that it's not easy to obtain a kind of value or a kind of price from just questioning the people. And this is an example. I mean, we have two types in general. Generally speaking, we have two types of ways of producing a price, of a value. One is the stated preference, and the other one is the reveal preference. But sometimes, I mean, they can differ. I mean, one can say that they put a high value on seeing dolphins, so they state that the dolphins for them has a value. But then he refuses to pay a premium to protect them. So, I mean, at the end, the reveal preference is zero, or I mean, it's much more lower than the stated preference. So, I mean, yes, the problem with this idea of creating prices, doing a kind of a dummy markets, is that the values that we can obtain can differ depending on the method that we are using. And yeah, that's another big problem. I mean, is what about if we are asking to people for something that they don't have a clue about it? I mean, and probably this is the case of the Mesopelagic zone. I mean, they don't know it, and it's not easy to ask them. I mean, how much money are you willing to pay for keeping this zone untouched? I mean, this is a complex thing. But yeah, obviously there are techniques to evaluate and to try to obtain a kind of a stated or revealed price when you don't know. I mean, when you are asking people that they don't know anything about the issue. Okay, and another thing is, yeah, we have a situation, we have markets, a situation where we don't have markets, and examples also of markets that do not reflect their real value. And the clear example of this is the market of, for example, the European Union emission trading system, when it's compared to the social cost of carbon. I mean, when we compare one of these, we see that the social cost of carbon, okay, the price that we should pay to try to avoid all the damage caused by the climate change is much more higher than the ETS, which is the emission trading system, which is the market. So at the end, it creates a problem in the sense that, okay, we have a market, but we know that this market is not working, at least perfectly. The problem is that we have to be careful when we have markets, or because, I mean, in some cases, the efficient solution it can be quite dramatic. For example, in a recent paper that we published last year, I mean, we simply do an exercise of trying to give to the people the possibility of fishing, or simply trading the carbon content of them of the fishes that were fishing around the world. And at the end, the result was the efficient. The solution was not to fish. I mean, at least to reduce the fishing effort by 65%. So, I mean, sometimes the markets are powerful, but yeah, they do not always reflect the real value of what we want to value. Okay. So let's move to the consistent services of this mesopelagic zone. The first message that I have to say is what is an ecosystem service, but at the end is quite straightforward. The definition is just to try to understand or evaluate the benefits that we are receiving from the ecosystem, in principle from the healthy ecosystem. And there are different types, of ecosystem services. We have the cultural, we have the regulation service, and we have the provisioning. And in here, I mean, what we have done for the mesopelagic is to try to understand all these ecosystem services that the mesopelagic zone is providing or can provide if we fish. For example, for the cultural ones, what we have done is to try to evaluate the animal sightseeing by the tourism, or by the tourists, or by the residents. I mean, and what we have done is to do it through the food web. I'm going to show you later on a kind of an example of that. The second thing is to try to understand also the DVM, the dial vertical migration of these fishes, and try to evaluate how many or the flux of carbon sequestration that they perform through these vertical migrations. Another point is, okay, what is the change in the provisioning services? I mean, what the mesopelagic fishes can provide to us by reducing them, transforming them into the fish oil or fish meal, but also trying to understand what we gain or what we lose in terms of other commercial species through the food web. I mean, the point here is that if we fish them, it will have an effect on the ecosystem service, on the ecosystem traffic chain. I mean, and at the end, the amount of other species, of other commercial species, are going to be increased, or reduce. I mean, in general, reduce, but it can be also increased. Depends on the level, the trophy level that they have. So this is what we have done, and going down to the results that we have. Sorry. Yeah, this is an example of what we have done. Okay, what we have done here is to try to compare two situations. And the comparison is, okay, what is fishing mesopelagic or not fishing mesopelagic? So the non-fishing mesopelagic implies that everything is business as usual. You know, all the species are fished as it has been done in the past. And in the future, what we are going to do is to not fish the mesopelagic, so force the F or the harvest rate of the mesopelagic to be equal to 0, which is more or less what we are observing or what we have observed in the past. And then the comparison that we have made is, okay, let's do not change anything except one thing, is to increase the harvest rate of the mesopelagic fishes to a level of around 30% of the biomass, which more or less it's a kind of proxy of the FMSY. I mean, this is the idea. And the dots here is okay, which are the species that are going to be lost and gained by the comparison between not fishing and fishing. I mean, it's always a comparison between one and the other. So in the right side, you have those that are losing, that we're going to lose. And as you can see, we're going to lose tunas, some whales, dolphins, and okay, some other species like you can see here. But obviously, there are going to be, I mean, zero effect on some others, and a positive effect in some other species. I mean, it is just a result of the exercise. Everything has been done in marginal terms. That is what the units that you can see here is the tons lost per ton of mesopelagic fish harvested. Okay, so this is more the idea. And what we have done is, okay, let's put some money, some values to that. For the cultural values, what we have done is to try to estimate the value that from the cultural perspective, I mean, from the non-market perspective, has this species, the species that we are losing by fishing the mesopelagic compared to those that we have when we are not fishing mesopelagic. So this is the cultural part, and the provision is the idea of okay, how much money we're going to lose from other commercial species beyond the mesopelagics. So the mesopelagic has not included here, but how much are we going to gain and how much are we going to lose from the change in other species that we're going to harvest. I mean, using the business as usual harvest rate for the other species. And as you can see, I mean, from the cultural side, we're going to always lose money. And from provisional side, perspective, I mean, we can lose or we can gain. And this the values that you are going to that you are seeing here are simply the ranges. This is the same result. I mean, but from the perspective of the three values that we have analyzed through the trophic change. The first one is the commercial values. The second one are the cultural values from the residents' perspective and from the ecotourism or the tourism perspective. Yeah, but also if we fish them, we're gonna gain some money or some provisioning service from producing the fish oil that we can obtain from the mesopelagics, and producing the fish meal. And yeah, I mean, the idea is, okay, what we have done is to extrapolate all the system to the 2050 and try to evaluate what we're gonna lose, what we're gonna gain in terms of producing fish meal and fish oil from transforming the mesopelagic fishes. And again, the range is high simply because we don't know too much about especially of the prices of the future prices of the fish oil and fish meal. But I mean, yeah, the idea is that in here we're gonna always gain something simply because we're gonna sell what we are obtaining from the fishes. In terms of climate change, what we have done is, okay, we're gonna evaluate mostly the dial vertical migration. I mean, the carbon sequestration that this vertical migration is doing. But in here, what we have done is only to use the market prices that we have in the European trading system. We can also could use, the social cost of carbon, but in here, the approach has been to try to use always the market prices when they were available. And again, we have obviously big uncertainty, but in general, the result is always negative. So, I mean, we're gonna lose. So at the end, what we have done is, okay, we have these different ecosystem services, and we can put some numbers from today's perspective. Always, the idea is to have a kind of always, okay, today I have to make a decision of fishing or not fishing. So what we can do is to, okay, everything, now we have everything in euros, so we can try to make a kind of a decision based on that. So, and here what you have is the average values. I mean, it's how much we're gonna lose or gain from fishing 1 ton of mesopelagic. And this is an example I haven't said, but this is an example that we have done in the Bay of Biscay, here in Spain and France. So, I mean, in terms of in average terms, from today's perspective, and considering also the future, but for today's perspective, we want to lose 122 in average euros per ton of mesopelagic harvested. From the provisional side, we're also gonna lose on average 39 euros per ton. From the cultural perspective, 67 euros per ton. And from fish oil and fish meal, so, I mean, we're gonna sell these mesopelagic fishes and produce this fish meal and fish oil. We're gonna gain on average 209, and everything is from today's perspective. So at the end, what we have is a kind of average value, which says, okay, it's a minus 19 per ton of mesopelagic fish. So at the end, it says, okay, on average, it seems that the result is not to fish. I mean, the sense that we're gonna lose something if we fish them. However, this is not the real truth. I mean, this is an example of the graph that we have produced, considering also not only the average values, which are the red or the blue dots, but also the ranges that we have in terms of the uncertainty that our values have. I mean, and as you can see, I mean, the uncertainty is really high. I mean, in terms of the first row, which is the trade-off. I mean, yeah, the red dot is around is more negative. It's negative, but the range can be positive or negative. Which at the end, what we're saying here is that, okay, there is a big uncertainty, and it's better to improve the knowledge of all the processes around this area before, I mean, making the decision of fishing them, in the sense that every small change of one of these parameters, for example, I mean, we can say that a change of around 10% in terms of the evolution of the fish meal and fish oil prices can move the trade-off, the average trade-off, from a negative value to a positive value. So this is, I mean, the message that we're always trying to say, even if sometimes the question is, but I need an answer, yes or no. Okay, but the point here, or the message here, is that we still don't have a kind of, an answer to that. What we can say is that we still have to increase our knowledge in terms of this sea region of the, So at the end, the message that I want to say also is that, I mean, there's some kind of statement saying that the economists know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. But what I want to say here is that, from my point of view, that's not true. Economic is a way of making a decision tool. This is just a decision tool to making a kind of decision in terms of, in this case, to fish or not to fish. It's interesting in the sense that it's putting everything into the same way of measuring it. I mean, in terms of money, in terms of we can compare different elements using the same level, the same currency in this case. But obviously, economics is one decision tool, and you can use other decisions as well. And that was my talk. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Raúl. Another excellent talk. I'm aware we've kept people past here, but I think we've probably still got time for another quick question. If somebody's got a question that I'd like to ask Raúl, please just raise your hand if you would like to ask him a question. Okay, in that case, I will use my privilege and get to ask you a question, Raúl. So it's very interesting, the framework you've described. Is there any country dependence in it, in the sense that, you know, your case study is focused on the Bay of Biscay? Do you think that the calculation would come out the same, for example, if you were to do it for the Peruvian fishery?
In terms of the methodology, my answer is that it's yes. In terms of the results, the particular results, the answer is no, in the sense that, I mean, the ecosystem structure is completely different. So I mean, we can have a kind of really different results. But in terms of the methodology that we have taken, I think that it can be used. That's the message.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to both speakers for a couple of excellent talks, and thank you to the audience. And I say we'll be advertising the call for June, hopefully in the next few weeks. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and see you soon, hopefully. Bye.
Thank you.